attendance. I will offer an invocation. Our Pledge of Allegiance will be offered by, would you like to do that today, Stan?
I'd love to.
Okay. Hopefully our county attorney will be here shortly, and we'll go to that point. Our dear Heavenly Father, we're thankful for the opportunity to be gathered here today. We're thankful for the moisture that we've recently received. Please continue to bless us with what we'll need for our crops for this coming year and to sustain life here in the county. We're thankful for the good folks that work here. Please bless them in their service. Please especially bless those in law enforcement, EMS, and the military as they're out protecting our freedoms and keeping us safe from the things that can happen elsewhere. Please bless us as we talk about the items on the agenda today, that we can make the best decisions for the people that live here and work here in the county. Please watch over our families and our businesses as we're away. And again, we're thankful for the many blessings we enjoy. And we say this in the name of thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Will the audience please rise and repeat the Pledge of Allegiance with me? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Did you gentlemen have a chance to look over the minutes from August 3rd? Any questions, concerns, clarifications?
I'll make a motion we approve the minutes from August 8th.
I'll second that motion.
August 3rd?
Why is it? Okay, August 3rd.
Okay.
Still second.
Very good. Have a motion and a second to approve the minutes. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I just noticed that Marla keeps trying to catch us on one.
Yeah,
Sends out the email.
Without the
approved minutes
attachment?
Without attachments.
Yeah, it's all
Make sure we're
good.
reading our emails.
It's all good.
I think that's entrapment, right? Is that entrapment?
No comment. I'll look into it.
Okay, there you go. That's better.
There we go. All right. Anything we need to review, reports, future agenda items, former agenda items?
I don't know if we were going to be able to put that letter together to support the sale of Washakie. I know these guys were working on it. That you needed to, so the school district did one.
Steve mentioned that if you wanted to put one together, draft one, we could review it
Okay,
so you can get it sent off.
ASAP, that's one thing.
If you have some information and where it's supposed to go,
Yeah.
that you can share with,
That part we can.
Will you just,
Put it to the right place.
Okay.
If you want to draft something first.
okay, if you want to send the school districts back to us again, I think I sent it to you, send it to Commissioner Scott.
Send you a copy of it.
Yep, has the case number and everything,
okay.
so.
And we can forward that to Chrissy and see if we can put our
And what we're talking
county
about is
feelings on it.
there's been an offer on Washakie, and it's, it would take care of about $4 million in back taxes on the thing. So we wrote some supporting letters to be able to tell the judge that we'd like to see it move on. The federal government has taken it off the tax sale the last 2 years. So we haven't been able to realize those taxes. So we've got a significant offer on the property, and hopefully the judge will see fit to actually let it go through the sale so the taxing entities can get their taxes back.
Yeah, with the economic crunch, that would give the school district an extra about $2.4 million. So if it's $4 million in back taxes, so, okay, very good.
The only other thing I was going to tell you, I got to meet with Princess Rima from Saudi Arabia last week, and it was pretty amazing to see somebody rise up through the ranks of Saudi Arabia so quick, where just not even a decade ago, you know, women weren't able to drive, they weren't able to vote, they weren't able to work. And she is now the ambassador to the United States, and she gave some amazing talks. One of the questions somebody asked her is, how come Saudi and Utah work so well together? And she just flat out said, because all people are welcome in Utah. You speak so many different languages, And then she actually said, all nations flow into it. And it was a pretty cool to be sitting there listening to somebody from Saudi talk about Utah like that. So it was an amazing experience.
Cool. International trade.
Yep.
Okay, very good. Let's see. ARPA, emergency management, I think we're okay.
No fires?
Nope.
Did Brian Carver talk to you about the ARPA? Because I thought we approved the one for the veterans, and he hasn't seen anything.
It was signed.
A couple times ago. That's
Yeah, it
what
was
I don't know.
signed, I believe, so.
I told him to
We'll
call
check.
you and
Okay.
Charlene to see about that one.
Yeah, I believe it was signed.
And then there was some other requests coming through him about the excess with the broadband should be here in the next little bit.
Okay. Yeah, we'll have to look, see where we stand.
Familiar with the veterans.
We kind of did it as a lump sum with everything that we sent over to Bragg the first go around. So it was like, the total was like 1.7 something million. And veterans was lumped into that and a couple of other things.
So did they already receive it and they just didn't allocate it?
Don't know. That's what we're wondering.
We'll talk to Brian and,
Lump, but
we'll
Okay.
talk to Brian and figure it out. They may have already received it and just not allocated it properly. Okay. All right, Cheryl. Report on Victim Services, or VOCA. Good.
All right, so,
If you'll
Box Elder,
just state your name for the record.
sure, Cheryl Bergen.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Box Elder County Attorney Victim Services is supported in part by the Utah Office for Victims of Crime through a grant awarded by the Office for Victims of Crime, U.S. Department of Justice. One of the grant conditions requires that we report to you guys biannually on the services our department has provided to victims of crime in our county. We cover First District Court, Juvenile Court, and County Justice Court cases. From January 1st to March 31st, we served a total of 261 victims, which included 97 new victims. From April to June 30th, we served a total of 281 victims, which included 87 new victims. We have served victims of assault, sexual assault, burglary, child physical abuse, child sexual abuse, domestic violence, DUIs, identity theft, fraud, financial crimes, kidnapping, robbery, stalking, protective order violations, jail release agreement violations, theft, and criminal mischief. We also help people who are survivors of 2 homicide victims. To understand what we do and why we do it, you need to understand what the rights are of victims. And I've mentioned these before. Victims have rights to be treated with fairness, respect, and dignity, and to be free from harassment and abuse throughout the criminal justice process. As we attend all district court, juvenile court, and county justice court proceedings that involve victims, we and the attorneys are ensuring that this right of being treated with fairness, respect, and dignity is occurring. We helped file requests for criminal protective orders and have helped with safety planning 49 times from January to June. Victims have a right to be informed, present, and heard at important hearings and to have timely notice of these proceedings. We notify victims of when charges have been filed, when court dates have been scheduled, inform them of their right to attend these hearings, and to help answer questions concerning court proceedings. When hearings are held online, we forward the link to the victim so they're able to log on and observe court if they wish. Notification of criminal justice events happened 1,256 times. Information given about the criminal justice process happened 1,429 times. And information about victim rights was given 1,432 times. We also meet with the victim and prosecutor at various times during the case so the victim can have a better understanding of court proceedings and let us know what they would like to see happen. There were 75 meetings held during this time period. Victims have a right to submit and have information considered at sentencing, and they have a right to be notified of any plea offers made. If the prosecutor has a plea offer for a defendant, we discuss this with the victim and get their input. Victims also have a right to be heard at sentencing. This can be done in various ways, from a written statement submitted before the hearing or a statement read at the sentencing hearing, either by the victim or by a victim advocate. We help ensure that victims get this opportunity to be heard. We assisted victims with their victim impact statement 171 times during this period. Victims have a right to restitution and/or reparations. When a victim is owed restitution, we assist in calculating restitution and help file the necessary paperwork with the court. This happened 170 times. If a victim is eligible for reparations from the Utah Office for Victims of Crime, we assist them on completing and submitting these forms as well. This happened 38 times. Victims have a right to a speedy trial and disposition. The length of court case can be difficult for victims who want to be able to move on from their victimizations. Cases are starting to move better through the court system. It has taken some time for the court system to recover from the COVID shutdown, but it has improved. Even so, some court cases can last several months to years despite our attorneys' best efforts to move a case forward. Victims have a right to a secure waiting area. As of now, district court hearings online every other week, while the other weeks are held in person. So when they're online, victims are able to be in the safety of their home and they're able to just log on and observe. But when they are in person, we are there to help and support them. The bailiffs work very hard to keep everyone safe at the courthouse and various courtrooms. We at times will work with them if there are situations that need to be handled in a particular way to keep a victim safe. There is also a room that victims are able to wait in, so they're not having to wait for their hearing in the same area as the perpetrator. As well as helping victims through the court process, we are also able to assist law enforcement and investigators when needed. Where I am a trained child forensic interviewer, I was able to help with interviews conducted at the Box Elder County Children's Justice Center 16 times during those 6 months. At times, we are also asked by law enforcement to help a victim in a case they are currently investigating. As you can see, we stay pretty busy. However, we are always looking at ways we can better help and serve victims in our county. Some of the goals we are working towards is having a more comfortable, calming place within our office to meet with victims and to help our local law enforcement agencies have a similar place within their offices. I am also working on a goal to have a trained court facility dog. A facility dog is different than a service dog, a therapy dog, an emotional support dog, or a detection dog. A facility dog assists on anxious and traumatized individual to communicate the facts that he or she has experienced or witnessed. A facility dog can calm a victim or witness with a gentle nudge to that person's leg or by simply laying their head on the person's lap, making the individual feel safe. These dogs can benefit victims or witnesses from an initial interview to meetings with prosecutors to courtroom proceedings. Training of a dog has begun, but it will take some time. The training takes several months to over a year. The dog will need to pass the assessment at the end of training before it can be considered a court facility dog. If and when the dog has passed the assessment, there are several steps within the justice system to get approval for the dog to be allowed in the courtroom. As you can see, there are several things that need to happen to achieve this goal, but we are working on it one step at a time. I want to thank you, County Commissioners, for your support for the Box Elder County Attorney Victim Services. I am grateful for the other two victim advocates who work in our office, Tammy Talent and Blake Clevitter. They are passionate about helping others and dedicated to ensuring victims' rights are protected throughout the court process. We are also fortunate to work with prosecuting attorneys, paralegals, and an investigator who share this same dedication to victims and the protection of their rights. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Appreciate
Any
your work.
questions?
And that was just 6 months, because you said biannually,
months.
right?
Yeah, that was January through June, so you get to see me again next January.
And hopefully it's not doubled the work.
I hope not.
Keep our
but
fingers crossed.
We stay busy.
Is COVID, now that it's over and we're actually seeing the cases run through, is that such a backup? Because do you think it'll mellow out once the backup kind of hit?
Still looking at probably at least a year to get back on track, aren't
like
you?
we're slowly getting into it, and more cases are being seen in person, but I'm not seeing a decrease in the amount of cases that are being submitted to the office. So
Are you seeing a frustration with JRI with victims because maybe the sentencing isn't as harsh as it should be?
that one's a tough one. I mean, I think we see the gamut with victims where some victims know the alleged perpetrator, they know the defendant, and they want to see more help and treatment. And then we see the other victims who are pretty hurt and angry, who
Want the book thrown?
who want the book. So we see everything with our victims for sure.
I just know across the state, they've been looking at some of the things that are happening with JRI, and there's
It
a
can
lot
be
of-
frustrating
yeah.
for sure.
Okay.
Yep. Anything else?
No, we appreciate you being
Thanks
here
for your
today.
efforts.
Thanks.
Thanks for your work.
Over.
Yep.
All right, Monica, welcome.
I was wondering if I missed this for some reason. I got on my car today and I'm like, I haven't had any peach salsa forever.
Peach salsa.
And you have to put our names on them because these guys look bad in a 3X, huh?
Wow,
Thank you.
thanks, Monica.
Wow.
Jen,
My wife said, how many peach day shirts do you have? And I said,
You?
9.
9, I was
This will
thinking,
be 10.
yeah, sounds like a few.
That's awesome.
Peach Days is in 3 weeks.
That's what we hear.
Yep, it's here. So Fox 13 will be up here Friday the 9th from 7 to 10 a.m. They will be doing 6 different segments about Peach Days, so we'll be going around the county and like we're city lot, and then we'll probably be over here in the food court. And then we'll be at the carnival and stuff promoting Peach Days. Everything else is going really well. Our main entertainment is Kennedy Dodds from Logan. So,
We know Kennedy.
yep, 17-year-old America's Got Talent finalist, and she's very, very talented. So we're really excited to have a local girl. And then instead of entertainment on Friday night, we're doing a karaoke and dance party. You don't have to participate. It's not lip sync battle, but if you want to karaoke, you can. And then there's going to be a huge LED dance floor. So I'm really excited about
So that's
dance
just
floor.
open
That's
to
just
anybody?
open. Yes, family-friendly songs and come and hang out and
I'm out
yeah.
then.
I've got somebody I may invite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then let's see if there's anything. Junior Grand Marshal is Allie Stokes, and our Grand Marshal is Nancy Green. So she just retired from the senior center, so
That's
she's
cool.
she's the one who's being honored. And then everything else is good. We got the county employee parking lots last week. We gave them to Joan Hammer.
Yeah, she's got the
Yeah.
the papers, the
Yeah, for the
windows.
window on
Yeah.
Friday. And then we did add one vendor to the side here just this week. So Cody doesn't know that,
Are
but
they
You-
going to do the same
it's the same
thing
as what we've had
with,
before.
our new building? Parking lot over there?
Oh, I don't know, because we have parking stalls now over there.
Build America First building?
We just traded Brigham City for that whole parking lot, so.
Yeah.
Oh, good. That's just public parking. So,
Okay.
yeah, people will park there. People park wherever they want. So, yes. The only one we man is on Friday. We man the city buildings on Friday and the county building on Friday because you guys are open for business. Other than that, we don't man them. Well,
Okay.
library we do.
Yeah, we've got the fair coming up next week, so we're familiar with the.
The parking,
Parking.
yes,
People
last year I
parking
got
wherever
to
they
be the
want.
voice of the fair on Thursday night. Please
So-
move your cars.
Please move your car. I was just going to tell you, for Fox 13, I know that there's a couple road commissioners that take people in different areas in the building and like look down over Peach Days.
Okay.
I've been privy to a couple photos from like the top of the building.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm just
Okay.
wondering if maybe,
That might be one. Okay.
It's a pretty good view.
It is a pretty good view.
It is,
Car shows already, we already have over 300 cars, almost 400 cars.
which is up quite a bit
Yeah.
pre-registration.
Yep.
The weather forecast, long
I haven't
range.
even looked at it.
Who knows?
it looks good.
Doesn't?
So-
I was like, I haven't even looked at it, so.
Jeff's in charge of the weather this next
Yeah,
week.
yeah.
And then the other Jeff will be in charge for
Charge
Peach
the-
Days.
the
Oh,
Peach
geez,
Week.
put that pressure on me.
Hi.
It's your last year, so you know, gotta put you in
Gotta
charge.
come through.
Any questions for me about Peach Days?
Awesome.
The same as
9 girls for Peach Queen pageant.
9 girls for the Peach Queen pageant. And
Seen that yesterday.
Junior
come out.
Peach Queens regular again. Last year we had to hold 2 pageants because of COVID. This year it's just the one.
Wow.
And yeah, like I said, everything's.
Beard growing contest.
Oh, we do
seen
have a
that.
beard growing
There it is.
contest.
My
Oh,
beard
that's
doesn't
right.
get that long.
Did you?
No,
Did
there's
someone get a
6
hold of you?
categories.
Six
Okay.
Yeah, he
categories.
texted me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The
We have a
grayest.
couple of VIP judges for the beard
Oh.
contest.
You can participate. We might have to recuse ourselves.
Yes, there you go.
So. Yeah,
There's
get
a
going,
peach
Bert.
buzz. There's a peach buzz.
Get going.
The Harley Show is raising funds for the New Hope Crisis Center, and we've already received some fairly large contributions. So we're excited about
That's
that.
awesome.
Yeah. So changes what it's going to do or where the proceeds go every couple of years. So
Cool.
Cool.
yeah. No
Thanks.
other questions. Okay.
Okay.
Sounds great.
Thanks.
Thanks, Monica.
Okay.
We'll break the news to Cody. All right,
I looked around to see if you cared.
thank you. All right, Annie, I read through this.
Oh, good.
I got issues.
Okay.
With this?
We really have to give up 20% when we specifically said, hey, we're not litigating, but yet we still have to pay into that litigation fund?
So that's a good question.
Because it said that it was proportionate,
Yeah.
and Salt Lake is 47%, but there's no way that we're 20%.
No, so ours isn't the full 20%. So the
Okay.
action item we're talking about, it's listed as whatever the agreement was called, but it's the backstop agreement related to the opioid settlement that we'd already signed the agreement with everyone. So technically, because we have already approved and signed that agreement, we're obligated to also move forward with this agreement. But the details are,
This is a backstop if they don't get it from the National Litigation Fund.
yeah, basically. So it's saying that because we didn't have outside counsel, only a portion of the payment will be taken and collected. Let's see, reduced based on the 20% coming out of the overall settlement total for local governments. So it's supposed to be funded first from the settlement nationally,
Right.
as much as it can be. And then once they run out of money on filling that account to pay back the attorneys, then we're obligated to pay our portion. So our portion is the 1.464% based on what's remaining after the 20% is removed from everybody.
That's clear as mud.
Yeah, so it is reducing ours.
How many attorneys drafted this?
I
It is-
feel that much better about it.
Yeah, it's reducing ours some for sure. I mean, everybody's got reduced to help pay for the 20% out of the overall account,
Except the state.
except for the state, that's a separate one. And then ours should be based though only off of our portion
All right.
of what we have to commit. And so they told us that the future settlements coming with some of the current ongoing lawsuits, the plan will be that this will be incorporated into the original MOU, so there won't be any surprises after the fact. But yeah, the
Sweet.
reason they're asking us is because we basically took advantage of their attorneys to get a portion of the settlement, so we're obligated to try to help pay for the attorneys that helped get it.
I don't know how we took advantage of them. I walked out of the meeting and said, this is just a big
What was an
act for them to
advertisement?
do it. Yeah, it's an advertisement for them to get
Here's
the
who
money
our
to do it.
clientele is, here's who we've worked with, this is why we should represent you, and we were one of only 2 counties that didn't have representation.
Right,
So,
yeah.
And we still get,
So it is limited to a certain extent.
all right.
okay,
Well, I feel a little bit better about the 1 point,
instead of 20.
yeah. All right, well, I guess we need to ratify this agreement as a backstop.
Has it got a number? 22. I'll make a motion, we approve the stopgap motion for the, what do you want to call it? Opioid
Settlement
settlement
agreement, yeah.
fund, 22-27.
Second?
We have a motion by Commissioner Summers, a second by Commissioner Hadfield. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thanks, Annie.
I think this next one might be me too,
It
unless
is.
one of you has more information than me.
Well, I have the Attorney General's.
Yeah, and go for it.
Okay. So the last time I was here for commission meeting, Perry wasn't here, but UTA came and gave their presentation and provided information from the Attorney General on the Senate bill that allowed us to identify new projects that can be used, that the transit tax can be used for. And this ties into Perry City, who's been reaching out to help fund, I don't remember the name of it, the trail that will connect to the future Front Runner station.
Mayor?
The
what's it called?
orchard.
What's it called?
Historic Orchard Pathway.
There you go. I could remember.
Hop,
Historic
Pathway,
orchard,
but-
thank you, yeah.
Thank you.
hop.
To help fund the construction of the trail that will connect into that. Perry City provided us with a draft ordinance. It doesn't quite cover what we need to do according to the Senate bill. And so we're going to bring to you at the next commission meeting the first ordinance that has to be passed before then we can allocate the funds to Perry City.
Okay.
So we'll have a new ordinance that will meet those requirements for the bill, with you identifying these new projects that the tax can go to. And then even without an ordinance, you'll be able to take action on the Perry City request.
Okay.
Obviously, with like the corridor preservation, we've got the COG, which is primarily the Mayor's Association. They look at the projects and they go through that. Do we need to do anything similar? Because these funds, they're only collected by Brigham City, Willard, and Perry.
Yeah, the county ultimately,
We get to decide? Okay.
yeah.
Just want to make sure that we,
And Perry has provided if you have more information, I'm sure they'd love to hear from you too, if you want to come to they have specified an amount and so it's not going to be the full transit tax, of course, but
okay.
Come on up.
Yeah, come on up.
Just state your name. Mayor wants to sit back there by the gun in case we say something wrong.
Yeah, so I'm Bob Barnhill with Perry City. Yeah, I appreciate the intro. It's Annie, right?
It is,
Okay,
yeah.
perfect. Thank you. I know our attorney's been coordinating with her on this a little bit. And so you're right, Commissioner, this is a tax just with Perry, Willard, and Brigham. So it might be good to clarify that in the ordinance. And I appreciate, I think that's a good approach to say, pass the ordinance and say, here's an umbrella of all of the things that we approve as uses for these funds. And so some thoughts along those lines is, right now, we're specifically looking at the Historic Orchard Pathway. We have grant funding for a portion, but we have match monies, 200,000 plus that we need to come up with, so it would help out there. But I think in addition to just the Historic Orchard Pathway, I think that would be great if that could be called out in the ordinance to say this is a use that we know regionally runs very close to the rail line. UTA has purchased 3 station sites that are all close to the Historic Orchard Pathway. So this regional trail would be a good transit component. Also, the first and last mile of transit is always an issue. You're at a bus stop. How do you get to and from your home that's, maybe a mile away? So if those funds could be used for curb gutter and sidewalk within a mile of any transit stop would be maybe good to call out in the ordinance, or any highway crossings. So in Perry, you're going to either live on the east or the west side of the highway, so either picking up or dropping off, you've got to cross that road. So that would be a good use to have in the ordinance to say, hey, this would be approved for those funds. And as you already alluded to, a process, once this ordinance is passed, what's the process going to be to actually come and say, here's project A, we need X dollars, how do we actually go through that process might be worth spelling out.
And the other thing, when you were talking about the train stops, we changed the law for the TRZ.
Yeah, the TOZ, Transit Opportunity Zone, or
So-
TRZ, Transit
TRZ,
Reinvestment Zone.
yeah. So what you're talking about curb and gutter, if it's within those future stops, the developer can actually go back in and take advantage of that tax credit.
Sure.
So they don't actually, have to have the money. That developers can actually go in and say, okay, if it's in this zone, then they're able to pull the trigger, even though it's not there. We changed it to future, on us shouldering counties.
Yeah.
So then you can get the money and the things out of them for development when the
Yeah.
developers get there.
That's great. And then one question I had that, doesn't need to necessarily be addressed in the ordinance, but perhaps something to think about is, I presume that UTA has access to the money. They're the ones that can write the check from the account.
I don't think we hold that, do we, Charlene? I don't think we hold that UTA.
So,
Unlike
UTA
the
holds the
corridor
funds.
preservation funds, we hold.
Yeah, UTA holds the funds.
yeah. So
Because it's
anyway,
primarily been used for corridor acquisition to this point, and so it's just been their real estate
Yeah.
team.
Yeah.
so hopefully that goes smoothly, requesting checks from them or whatever. But anyway, those are the thoughts that we had. I don't know if you have any questions on what Perry's looking at and trying to do, but
We know a couple of the trustees pretty well. We could
great.
call and say, hey,
Do you own all of
Best
the
practice.
stuff on the trail yet?
So we do. We have obtained the right-of-way that we need for the,
Okay, because I was just going to say,
Trail
because that'd
and
be another
Perry.
thing about corridor preservation funds that we'd actually use if we had to.
about what will
Yeah.
the distance be on this that this would take care of?
Well, all of Perry, it's like 3.5 miles or so.
Wow.
And we've constructed a portion, the southern portion already.
Right.
Then we have grant funding for the rest. We just need to come up with the match money
Okay.
for it.
That's cool.
And we did use some of the corridor acquisition money to widen out the corridor that we had for this trail, so that was great.
Okay,
Yeah.
Cool.
awesome.
We'll do it.
Would
Exciting.
you like me to include those 3 uses in the ordinance that he mentioned? The highway crossings, curb and gutter for the first and last mile, and of course, the historic orchard pathway use.
If it fits within the framework that the state's given us, I don't see a reason
Yeah.
not to.
I'm fine with that.
I'd also like to just make sure that they look into that, the developers actually doing it, so they can pay for it.
Where they should.
Sure. They should.
Especially the curb and gutter.
Right.
That makes sense.
Okay,
Cool.
thanks.
Awesome, thank you
Thanks,
guys.
Bob.
Yeah, thanks, Bob.
Mayor? Thanks. All righty.
Have you got a ordinance number on that?
Got a, yeah, well, let's see, do you need to draft? You'll need to,
Okay,
Yeah, we're
Put
going to
those in
draft
there.
our own
Okay.
Okay,
to
well-
substitute, and then we'll get
So you'll have it.
we'll
down
get
the
her
road.
done.
okay. Thanks, guys.
Let's see. I guess we need to open a public hearing. We'll have Scott give us the background on this. So we'll go ahead and formally open a public hearing regarding the county road vacate in Riverside. And we'll have Scott give us the background on that.
All right. I gave you the sheets with that image on it, right? Okay. Okay, so the applicant is requesting to vacate 15500 North between 5400 West, which is SR 13, and 5475 West in the Riverside area. You have a map that shows the proposed right-of-way to be, that's being proposed to vacate. The current road there on the ground is approximately 12 feet wide, gravel road. And the applicant states in his application, this road has no traffic and has never been maintained by the county. There are 2 other property owners fronting on the right-of-way. This road basically acts as just a through road for them to access their homes or properties. So as far as county code goes, the County Commission Policy 2003-01 governs road vacations, and there are a couple standards there to review when considering a road vacation. The first is there a prevailing public interest in keeping the road open? This portion of the right-of-way was established by the 1894 Riverside Plat has been used by the public but not improved or maintained by the county. With that being said, it's part of the existing grid system of the platted area, and being a grid would provide access to more than just those fronting on the right-of-way, especially as the county grows and develops. Staff reached out to UDOT for input, as this is an access road to SR 13. UDOT didn't really have any input as far as that goes. They didn't have concerns where it's an existing right-of-way. They said they're more concerned if it's a new ingress-egress point onto a state highway. The second standard is, does the proposed vacation substantially affect the county general plan or the transportation plan of the county? The transportation section of the county's general plan states the following regarding roadway design. Overall, the roadway network should focus on connectivity. This means that block sizes should not be too large and important collectors should not dead end or terminate in a cul-de-sac. It's best achieved by using a hierarchical grid system of roadways, which Box Elder County and most communities already have in many areas. The general plan also states that specific areas of concern are residential neighborhoods and school drop-off zones. The use of cul-de-sacs should be reduced to assure more connections. Traditional grids generally help achieve better street connectivity and traffic distribution. The third standard is the proposed vacation in compliance with all Box Elder County land use and development code requirements, state, federal, or other local regulations. The proposed vacation is in compliance with all requirements and regulations. Will the proposed road vacation financially harm any landowner or stakeholder who may have an interest in the road? At the time of application, not all landowners directly fronting on the proposed right-of-way had signed the application. Adjacent landowners have now been noticed of the public hearing, and the public hearing process is in place to help bring any evidence of harm to light. The fifth standard is the county shall not vacate any other private interest within the right-of-way. And no private interests within the right-of-way will be vacated. Sixth standard, when considering the vacation of a deeded road as opposed to a right-of-use road, the provisions of the surplus property disposal policy shall be used. This proposed vacate is not a deeded road, and surplus property disposal policy does not apply. And the final is that the petitioner will provide descriptions in a deeded right-of-way for all abutting owners who may receive any ownership of the vacated road. And the petitioners have supplied the descriptions. Those descriptions are currently being reviewed by the county recorder's office. So staff's findings when reviewing this were that unzoned areas allow for road vacations subject to approval by the county commission with a recommendation from the planning commission. And the county will need a revised legal description. So this was at the time of the planning commission. The county is currently reviewing the revised legal description. The third finding is that the proposed vacation may impact future circulation in the Riverside area. And the fourth finding is that the public hearing at the county commission level will provide additional information for their decision. With that said, the planning commission, they did their review of it, and it was a split vote, 3-2. But it was a recommendation of approval to vacate the right-of-way was approved by the planner, was forwarded as a recommendation by the planning commission.
I got a question, real quick. So when doing this, we went through this with Tremont not too long ago, and when they vacated it, they gave each property owner, they split it down the middle and gave each 6 feet. Is that in this area also?
Yeah, so that's how the description submitted by the applicant, this right-of-way is 80 feet wide.
Okay.
And so 40 feet would go to the north property owners and 40 feet would go to the south property owners.
Okay, I was just making sure that.
Scott,
Yeah.
in the planning commission, what were some of the concerns on the two dissenting votes?
So those two votes, they viewed it as a disruption to the grid system was one of their reasoning. To the west is undeveloped area, and so the concern was a potential disruption to the grid system in the area that would potentially extend to the west into that undeveloped area at some point in the future. And then the other was potential for setting a precedent for vacating other rights of way throughout that grid system in the Riverside area.
And as far as we know, all the property owners that are involved or affected by this are in agreement with it? We don't have any problems?
That's my understanding. To the south, the two parcels to the south are owned by the same property owner, and he is here in attendance. And then the property owner, the applicant is related to the other property owner on the north side. And they're all, my understanding is they're all in favor, support the vacation, but
Okay,
I guess we'll let them speak during the public hearing, so.
all right.
Thanks, Scott.
Thank
Yep.
you.
Okay, very good. The public hearing is open. If you would like to speak to this specifically to the road vacate at hand, please come forward. Please limit your comments to a couple of minutes and state your name for the record.
Matt Gibbs. I'm the one that started the process.
You might
for
have to
road
pull that
vacancy.
microphone towards you. Sorry.
How about I scoot up a little bit closer?
There you
How's
go.
that?
Gotcha.
So to follow up a little bit on what Scott spoke to on some of the concerns they had about growth, if you look at the plot map moving to the west property, that road has been vacated. Half of that road has already been vacated, so it's a dead end to the west anyway. And I read through some of that. They mentioned block size. There's other precedences through the Riverside plot that road vacancies have taken place to make bigger block sizes down towards on the east, south side of the park. There's been some road vacancies over there. I don't know if you guys have a full plot map in front of you or not, but I could share you with some of the notes that I've got on the plot map. We just feel that there's been no maintenance for, I've been there 12 years, never seen a snowplow down it, never seen a grader go down it. I'm not wanting the road upgraded. I like it how it is. That's how we want to leave it. That's how me and Brent want. He owns everything to the south side. I own the one property to the north, and my father-in-law owns the other section. And I've got a signed letter there in agreement with it too. We've also done easement for David and Clay Earl that own the property to the west. They run sheep and cattle, horses over there, for an easement to go through there because as far as me and Brent have talked, we want to leave it the same way. He mows one side, I mow the other. I've hauled gravel in to maintain the mud and everything else on it because we just use it to drive a horse trailer around, and Brent uses it to get around. That's pretty much all the traffic you get. You get some from Earl's. They come in with a semi to drop sheep off, cows, stuff like that. So that was part of my discussion with Earl's, is to maintain that just how it is. We're not going to build a fence and block anything off and still allow, if somebody drives through it, nobody's going to say anything. It's just going to maintain how it is. It does look like a road from the picture, but if you actually
I know where it's at.
physically went to it, it's like a two-track. There's nothing really there. There's no road signs, there's no street signs, there's nothing. So, any questions for me, guys?
I think the only question I would have is that this will make your property larger, so which makes your property worth more. So the taxes will go up.
Taxes are always going up.
Okay, well, that's what I was just wondering. Just making sure that that's,
Slightly. It'll be a slight adjustment. It won't be super dramatic, but.
I just want to make sure you realize that.
Yeah, we understand that.
There's nothing we can do to stop that,
Yeah.
so.
It sounds like you're being a good neighbor too, like you're communicating with everyone and trying to make sure that this
Great.
works for everyone
Yeah,
involved.
Yeah, I know exactly where this is at, and the property, like you mentioned, north, south, west, it's all the same property owners, and so, okay. No, you
The only-
answered all my questions.
Well, the only question I had, is it on our county road map, Darren? Do you know?
I don't know, I'd have to look.
Because the only thing would be a difference is that if it's on our B and C and D road map,
You just have to remove it.
we'll have to remove it. So we'll just have to put that on the thing, so,
good. Thanks for your time.
thanks.
I'd be
Thank
kind of
you.
surprised if it is, but
Yeah, well,
stranger things have happened.
there's weirder things. We have weirder
Right.
stuff on our maps. Nobody else? Brent, you don't want to come talk to us? Wow,
He's shy. The address is wrong.
that's what well,
It's 5450 west, it's actually 5400 west, 5475.
5475, yep. Okay.
okay. We'll see you next week for photos, huh?
Yep,
Okay.
can't wait.
You can see all the ones in the back, circling around the corner from you.
That's the approximate part, because it does go between 5400 and 5475.
Okay.
Okay. I'd entertain a
So
motion.
Are we good?
Close the public hearing?
Yeah.
Yeah, a second.
Have a motion by Commissioner Summers, second by Commissioner Hadfield. All in favor?
Aye.
Are we good? Does this have a number, or do we just, where it says approximately between this?
Yeah, so there. Generally, I'll only get an ordinance number and have that ordinance prepared if I know for sure it's going to be approved. In this scenario where it was a split vote at the planning commission meeting and I didn't know here, I didn't get a number yet, but I'll bring a number back at the next meeting. So if you want to, you can make the motion to approve
Pending-
and direct me to
Pending
do.
the ordinance number.
Correct.
Okay.
Sure. Okay, I'll make,
Would it make you feel better if we had a split vote here too?
You do what, you guys are the decision makers. I'm just a facilitator.
Okay.
I'll make a motion, we approve the vacate of the road that's approximately at 1550 north and, was it 5475 west?
Yeah,
That
between
area.
5,400 and 5,475.
Yes, that.
Second.
Have a motion by Commissioner Hadfield, a second by Commissioner Summers.
And he's
Oh.
gonna
All in
talk.
favor?
We need to,
I'm-
pending
I
the
should have, I'm
ordinance
thinking
number.
about it. I'm not sure if you can take action if it's not listed on the agenda as an action item.
if there's no ordinance number.
There's no action item at all. There's
It's
just a
just a
public
public hearing.
Public hearing, that's true.
Just
Okay.
to prove that he'll finish off the ordinance and bring it back.
Direct him to get us an ordinance number then.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
So
Okay, no, that's fine.
strike my motion.
That'll just be on the next agenda, just kind of a formality to have that on there, so,
Okay.
okay. All right, yeah, if we can put that on the next agenda, and then we'll just wait for the ordinance prep and go from there.
Thanks, you guys.
Nice catch, Annie, thank you. Okay,
Scott's still up.
yep, got to rezone.
All right, so this rezone came before you last, at your last meeting, and it was tabled in order to hear from the applicant. The original request was 94 acres, and it was split by 2400 West out in the Corinne area. So the Planning Commission scaled it down to 2 acres. The request is from an RR20, rural residential, half acre, or 20,000 square feet, changing that to a general commercial zone. The applicant is now here so that you can hear from him as far as his preferences go. On the east side of the road, directly south of this parcel are 2 parcels that are both zoned general commercial. Not quite as large as this one, but they are of decent size. So in looking at this parcel and doing the review at the Planning Commission level, it's in an area where Brigham City, it's just adjacent to Brigham City, the Brigham City boundary. And in Brigham City's future land use, they have this area designated as commercial. The Planning Commission did ask why this isn't being annexed into Brigham City.
So my next question.
Generally, people will annex into the city when they want infrastructure. So my understanding is what the applicant is, and he is here, so you may want to ask questions, but my understanding is the use that he is proposing does not require infrastructure from the city as far as utilities or anything like that. He's looking at just having like a landscape supply, whether that be like bark and aggregate, rocks, different things like that, along the frontage of that 55-acre parcel. I don't know if do you still have your maps from last time?
I just dug it out of the garbage.
Okay. So based on my discussion with him, his preference is that the 55 acres on the east side of 2400 West be zoned the commercial zone. And if that would be preference 1, preference 2 would be that the 9 acres along the frontage, you can kind of see through the zoning color that 9 acres is a different color than the rest of it. And that's because the rest of it's currently being farmed. That 9 acres is unfarmable. So that's where we're at this point. So if you have questions for him, he is here.
So is the planning commission just hesitant to have that big of a parcel all changed from our R20 to CG?
Yeah, that was their hesitancy, and
Okay.
where the applicant wasn't at that meeting, they just went with.
I feel a lot better knowing that Brigham City's future plans has that as commercial, so
Correct.
that's, yeah. Okay.
Well, and I guess, I mean, just maybe a suggestion or something to think about, if the 9 acres is adequate and the other 46 in that parcel are farmable, that would stay in Greenbelt potentially if this was split off, and then the other 9 acres would just be at CG.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And if the whole thing were zoned the commercial, I'm not the Greenbelt expert, so I don't know if
If that
he's
would
just
affect
using a
it.
portion of
Yeah.
it, he may be able to keep it in Greenbelt despite the zoning being commercial. I'm not sure of that.
I don't know if the zoning has an impact on Greenbelt or not,
I
Yeah.
don't think it does.
so.
You just have to have more than 5 acres being farmed in a certain
Yeah,
area.
I think it's more the use than the zone to
Okay.
qualify for.
That was the
Greenbelt.
only question I had there, so.
The other 9 acres, if it comes out of, then they'll have to pay back taxes on that portion if it comes out of Greenbelt, if they separate it that way.
So, yeah, regardless, I mean, that would be a smaller portion,
And that's what I would do if it was me,
so.
because if not, you're gonna take the whole 50 acres out of Greenbelt, you're gonna have a substantial
Yeah.
Well,
payment.
if the applicant's here, why don't we have him come up
Okay.
and a couple of brief questions and we'll get this figured out. Hi there.
Hi,
You want to state your name for the record and we'll get this figured out for you.
Shan Hardy, and
Okay?
first I want to apologize if my language or terms are not correct. This is my first time doing anything like this, so it's cool
I've
to
been
come.
here for 10 years and they're still putting up with me, so you'll be okay.
It's cool to come and kind of see the how it works and everything for the
That'd be
commission meeting to see the process. So, yeah, like he said, we submitted a regional application for the full 90 acres. Got the 2 acres back, and I understand, 90 acres is a lot. Really, it was just that those were one parcel, and it was kind of a simplicity thing. So having just the 55 acres on the east side of the road, I think makes the most sense. As he mentioned, at some point in the future, that will be commercial ground. I think regardless, I don't think anybody will build homes there. It's right next to the freeway, right next to 2 trucking lots where trucks are coming in and out all night, at all hours of the night. But it will be, just to kind of touch on some things that you guys said, the majority of that will still remain in Greenbelt, will still be farmed. And the bottom 9 acres is all that would be used, really. So I talked to Corey Wild, who's the appraiser, and he said as long as that is still being farmed, it would still be Greenbelt. Wouldn't affect tax implications on that portion. It would just be the 9 acres, like you mentioned. I think rather than having to do a subdivision for the 9 acres or the 2 acres, and then another 10 or 15 or 20 years down the road,
Do
when it
another
comes
one.
back, having to redo another one, makes sense to just do it all at once, even though we'll remain Greenbelt and will continue to be farmed in agricultural use. So
So you're talking do the entire 55 as the CG?
I think that
Commercial
makes
general.
I think that
sense,
makes
yeah,
the most
for
sense.
future plans and.
See, you can take my spot in 2 years. Yep, well, that's good.
Okay,
That's it for me.
You got any other questions?
I don't have any.
I don't, no.
I don't know what
Makes
that
sense.
was. It sounded like somebody was choking a canary.
And I think too, I don't know if this is, maybe I'm saying more than I need to. I think we could have probably stacked some gravel and dirt and rock and bark there and nobody would have noticed or said anything because all that's stacked in that 9 acres at the moment is manure anyways. But we wanted to try and make sure we were going about it the right way
Right.
just to avoid issues in the future.
Yeah.
Thank you. No, that makes a ton of sense
Proper
because, eventually if that's what you're going to do, there'd have to be a business license. And
Yeah.
so if you've got that, then you're doing it the right way.
Good.
Okay.
Thank
You
you.
gentlemen have any questions?
I don't.
I don't
Okay.
Thank you.
make a motion, we approve the R20 to CG,
Rezone.
the rezone
For the 55
for
acre
the
parcel?
55 acre parcel.
Yeah, I'll second that motion.
Okay, very good. We have a motion by Commissioner Hadfield, a second by Commissioner Summers. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Good to go. Scott, thank you.
Yep, thanks, Scott.
Thanks, Scott.
Jenica, Annie. Here we go.
This safety policy is an update related to off-highway vehicle use, OHVs, which includes UTVs and ATVs. A copy of the draft policy is in your email. I have a copy right here if you want to look at it, but basically this just outlines the general policy for the county on ATV and UTV use to set a standard. This will help us comply with some recent UOSH requirements. And then from that point, we will work directly, Jenica and I, with the departments to come up with amendments that we'll bring back to you so that they're able to, because their positions are so different, the work that they do, we'll have to make some exceptions to this general policy that are department-specific, but we'll bring those department-specific ones back to a future meeting.
Okay.
Is there more to it than that? No?
Well,
What's that? Section, oh, I didn't see it.
so
Let me pull it up.
I sent a change on section D, number 6. It's just specifically listed that UTV seats needed to be installed properly, and I think it just needs to read ATV and UTV.
Okay.
So
Okay.
that's the only change I recommend.
all right, we'll watch for that. We appreciate your work on this. I mean, it's something we need. It's tough that the way that this came about, but I think ultimately it'll be good for everybody. It's going to require some work on everybody's part and some training, but we'll get there.
So the policy number would be 15-21. It'll fall under the fleet policy. And so if you feel comfortable making that approval today, we'll move forward with the UWASH requirements and then bring back any updates to the next meeting.
And then,
I'd like to get started on it so that we can have it out there. If there's any tweaks that need to be done, they can be addressed on a department by department basis, and we can show, UOSH that we're working on this.
Right, and you've currently parked all ATVs and UTVs with some exceptions for law enforcement. And this would allow us to move forward, getting everybody else ready for the county fair next week.
Training and PPE and, okay.
Yep.
that's what I was just gonna say, because in some of these project specifics, I hope they talk about, places that have rises and flats and,
Right.
versus the other things in other departments, so.
Yeah, and in the policy, it states that we have slope meters installed on all the vehicles, and I've actually ordered a bunch of those, and they'll be here Friday. So
I think Darren,
Darren has some already installed.
yeah, he said he's already installed a bunch and went out and drove around on the gravel pit and made sure that they all worked and stuff. And
Yeah.
are we gonna have to put baffles in tanks too? Or order tanks with baffles? So you're not, you understand what I'm saying?
I think those tanks already have baffles, didn't they?
No.
No?
Currently, and I guess it depends on what slope you decide. I think slope.
I think no matter what, honestly, if you can put baffles in anything, that helps with the sloshing portion of it, so.
Yeah, we can include that in the weed department exceptions.
Yeah.
Well, it's substantially different if you've got a small side-by-side that's hauling garbage around the fairgrounds versus something that's on a
45
16,
inch.
20% grade. So, all right.
Okay. I'll make a motion, we approve the updated policy 15-21.
Second?
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Summers, a second by Commissioner Hadfield. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. No closed
Still
session.
nothing.
Annie?
Monica?
We do have a closed session. We need a closed
man.
session for the purpose of discussing the purchase or sale of real estate and
Sorry.
an employee situation.
I'll make a motion that we go into closed session.
To
To
discuss
discuss real estate and
what
employee.
what Annie said. I'll second that motion. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Mayor, did you find out about